is very much a support role, and it will always be, I think. I don't have necessarily direct contact with students as most of you do, but I'm here, and the team in Human Resources is here to support you and everything that you do, and by extension provide for the students and for that education. And I think we've always understood that. We definitely understand it day to day. So I've been asked in some cases to stop by HR classes, in the business school, and sort of give a talk about what I do and the significance of human resources and what that looks like at a place like John Carroll. And I remind everyone, that 60%, of the operational expenditures at John Carroll are tied up in pay and benefits. So if you just think about that, and yes, our office is removed from sort of that day-to-day contact with students, we have some part to play, at least in sort of making sure that those things, that 60% is going to the right people, first and foremost, along with payroll, our partners in payroll, but also that that we're being stewards of that, and we're being responsive to employees and providing compensation that works, so that folks will want to come, folks want to stay. Just my experience at Carroll has been, I'm in awe. I mean, maybe is a strong word, but it's the only word that really comes to mind when I think of my admiration for the work of what a Jesuit university does in terms of education, in terms of formation. I mean, it's something I've always wanted to be a part of, and I'm passionate about having a small role in that. So for me, I learn every day from the people that I work for the people I work with, from the people I work with. I think that I've had the opportunity in this last year to, even though I've been around Jesuit education for quite a while, I had the opportunity this year to participate in the Companions in Ministry or Mission group, which is a cohort of diverse faculty and staff, and Dr. Peck's group, along through Father Pitt, organized that group, and there's a discussion of Jesuit higher education, right, and how we all participate in that. So for me to be in that environment, to have a diverse group of folks around, so to hear perspectives from faculty members, from administrative, from officers, from support staff, just like me, it's just amazing to have everyone there. We're learning about this mission that brings us all together. It's why we're here, and we're all sharing and learning, and I really appreciated that. And that's not something you're going to get everywhere. It's what makes us unique. And again, that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about Jesuit higher education. Just a couple of things, just to let you know. I know this is about connection to the mission, but I'll also say, in the work that we're doing in compensation and benefits, you may have heard that we recently had a change in our pharmacy provider. So if anybody has any questions on that, I'm probably the guy to see. And also in the coming year, we're looking to start a compensation study with an outside partner, and hope to sort of have that work initiate additional work on building an internal compensation structure and review. And we hope to share the results of that with the community in the coming months. So, question or answers? Any questions? If not, please stop me on the way out. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ryan. So one of the things we've often discussed in our staff council meetings is John Carroll's, just the amount of knowledge that's out there within our community about how John Carroll would handle a crisis. And because of that, those conversations, we have invited Brian Hurd and Gary Hominy to come and speak about John Carroll and how we would handle, whether it be a snow emergency or something a little more serious on campus. So, gentlemen, please join us. Thanks for being here.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Hurd, Chief of the John Carroll Police Department.
And I'm Gary Hominy. I'm the Director of Regulatory Affairs and Risk Management.
He's got a lot of voice.
They say big mouth. I like that.
He has a big mouth. So why are we here? Well, Brandy asked us to be, so we did it. But to talk about emergency preparedness and what we might do, I think it's important. It's something that is embedded in our lives every day. You listen to the news. There's a crisis, a disaster, a shooting at a bank, a tornado, a hurricane, natural disasters. There are disasters that are happening every day around us. We don't always see it come to campus, but it can, and it has, and it certainly will at some point. So we think it's certainly relevant. And because, disaster can strike anywhere in your life, it's really like a life skill that we want to talk about, and how you might think about being in a space where something happens and you have to respond. So we're going to kind of focus right now on the campus part of it, but again, these things all translate into everything else in your life. So on the John Carroll University Police website, you just type in JCU PD, it gets right to us. We have a link to emergency information down at the bottom here. And that brings up our main page here that has all kinds of information. And Gary's going to expand about that on that just a little bit. I'll give him the mic.
So hi, everybody. So there's people ask, well, what do I do in an emergency, or where can I go to figure out, what I should be doing, or what the university is going to do? And there is just a treasure trove. Wouldn't you say that, Brian? A treasure trove of information right here. So you could click on your favorite emergency. Gosh, it's so hard to tell. Maybe fire. It's always good. And see, what's nice about this is it tells you what you should do in case of a fire. It spells it out kind of step by step, so you can read this at your leisure. And then, as you go farther down, it tells you what will happen. So it gives you an idea of the university's response, so you can be prepared for what the university is going to do after the procedures above. And that's the same for all of these right there. So it's a nice way if you ever want to check, see what a particular, maybe some crisis just has you up at night and you want to know what our response would be. This is a good place to go to get that information. Now, oftentimes people say, well, Gary, that's great, but if the power goes out, or I don't have internet, or, now what? We've got a little flip chart. And we brought some of them here today, so you can take a flip chart back with you. Don't have enough, I think I have some more in the office, but we should have enough for everybody here. But it's the same principle. You pick your crisis, you flip it open, and there it is. What you should do, and what we will do. So it's all right there. So if it's good to have one of these run in your office, so that either you can review it whenever you want, or when the power's out, you can find this.
I wanted to get one of those cannons to shoot these up into the audience, but Gary said that would be another crisis that we have.
Yeah, be a guy.
Okay. One thing that's really important in a crisis or emergency is communication, obviously. It's important everywhere. So I want to talk a little bit about how communication might flow. And that would be, first of all, from you to us. So you could be in a situation where a crisis unfolds around you, you're involved in it some way. So you become the first responder. You don't always think of yourself as that. That's the people in the uniforms, but it could be you, because you're the only one there, and you have to make some decisions, and you have to take some action to get further help to come to mitigate the situation, right? So you're the first responder. So primary method is to, what we're always taught is to call 911, right? And that's fine. I don't want to, cover that necessarily. But when we're on campus, we prefer that you call our phone number here, 1234, directly, rather than call 911, or in addition to. And the reason for that is when you call our dispatcher, we know the campus very well intimately. We'll be able to ask you as a caller some very specific questions. You say, Dolan Hall, is it Dolan Science Center, or is it Dolan Residence Hall? And then, we'll find out exactly where you are, ask a couple more questions about what's going on, and get a callback number from you. And a good tip is don't hang up. Always wait for our operator, our dispatcher, or the 911 operator to terminate it, because they be asking more questions. Sometimes you're frantic, you're in a hurry, you just hang up. But that's where you need to take a breath, because you're going to be relating information, and let them terminate the call. Okay. So what happens when we get the call? We call 911 ourselves, right? If it's a 911 worthy call, and we'll call the regional dispatch center here. They're going to send police, fire, EMS, whatever is necessary, and we're going to coordinate with them on where we would like to meet them, and we'll walk them exactly where they need to get to on campus to where the emergency is. In the meantime, we're going to have an officer respond to that emergency site, and they'll get there very quickly. If it's a medical emergency, we'll also have our JCU EMS, our student EMS group, will respond along with us, and they're on duty throughout the school year. And we'll be able to get there very quickly. We have a nice coordinated response system with our local police and fire, and it usually works out. If you happen to call 911 first, that's fine. Just give us a call if you can remember, and let us know so we can start that chain of coordination. Every once in a while, we'll get someone will call 911. We'll see a squad wandering around campus trying to find where they're supposed to go, and we wave them down. We figure out what's happening, and we get there. But that just is another delay. They're usually pretty good about making sure that we're coordinated with. So that's my long explanation of why it's good to call 1234 for any emergency.
So that's being reactive. I mean, which you would be in an emergency, you're calling it in and all that. I want to take a minute and talk about something proactive that you could do. And that is, we have a threat assessment team on campus. And I think we have a link up here. But, so the threat assessment team is this group of individuals. We meet monthly, and we can meet more often if there's an incident. But if you see something that, I'm going to update that a little bit. I was afraid of that. So, but the idea of the threat assessment team is we're the group that connects the dots. Oftentimes you might hear about a crisis somewhere, and they're interviewing people, and it's like, well, this person knew this information, this person knew that, this person knew that, and nobody brought it all together. So what the threat assessment team tries to do is it's a place where you can report something, maybe suspicious behavior if it's not an imminent threat, or you could report just if you see something that's someone in distress, or just something that concerns you that you're like, wait, that's just not right. Who could I tell? Well, it would be the threat assessment team, because the situation might play out that there's someone in a class who acted out, and they bring that to the threat. They tell. Well, now it's Mary Claire. They'll tell Mary Claire, and Mary Claire would bring it to the threat assessment team and just say, hey, this is a dot. I just want to put this out here that this happened, and it was of concern to a number of people. And then they say, whoa, wait a minute. In the residence hall, we also had a situation with that individual. And Brian might be in and say, you know what, there was a problem that we had with him somewhere else. And so now we can start to connect the dots. We have an individual that is in distress, and we need to get some support to them to help them through this situation. And so that's kind of the way it would work. And if it's an imminent threat, forget about us, call JCU PD. But if it's just something that you want to report and you're not sure where to go, this is a good place to report that. And we'll have this updated, trust me.
Another part of the communication chain is from us out to you, from the university to you if there's an emergency. So one thing that we do, we send out alerts and advisories on occasion. So if there's a crime that may have some lasting impact or be a continuing threat or a series of crimes, we'll send something out via email and let you know kind of circumstances, what we know, what's happened, and make sure you contact us for information. So that's one way information gets pushed out to you. Also update things on the website, on our webpage. And
another way that we would reach out to you would be through a JCU alert. And this is the text message and email message that we would send out if there was a crisis, so we needed to push some information out to you. If your phone number, your cell phone number is in Banner, you're automatically put into the JCU alert system. If it's not in there, you should put it in there because we do frequent updates to load that in. And if you have any questions or you just want to know if I'm in there or not, just call me and I can go in the system and look and say yes or no. Occasionally we might get might be a problem with the phone number or something like that, but I would be the contact for that and I can make sure that you're in the JCU alert system. But for a little bit more about, you know, the sending out of messages, I'll turn it over to Brian.
so we've all probably received JCU alerts about weather, right? That's what gets people excited. They, you know, they're looking forward to that, you know, but it's just a possibility, right? That's message. But really, it's also used for emergencies. Not that that isn't, but so and fortunately, we've not had to send many of those out, and we're very thankful for that. But if we do, it's something that, like I say, it can be a very difficult and frustrating experience because in every emergency or disaster, there's only bits and pieces of information that are known at the beginning. It grows, it changes, it evolves over time. So we have to send out a message early on so that it's to get something out that's helpful, to get it out quickly, and to really be able to give some direction to. We can just say, there's a shooter in the ad building and leave it at that. We'd like to give a little bit more information. We'd like to try to give some direction to, and then keep that information flowing, which is always a challenge. So if we are in an emergency situation, just know that it will be very fluid. It will change and evolve over time, and that's just the nature of it. But we count on everybody to use your best judgment, to be familiar with how you might best respond, and that really helps the whole cycle of communication and hopefully lessen frustration.
Why don't you give a plug?
Okay. Yes, so Gary and I have and can come to your office and do a little more in-depth hands-on presentation. There's some folks in here who have come to their office. I see some here. We've done some hands-on things, and nobody's been injured.
Speak yourself.
Yeah, well, I haven't been injured yet so far, but we'd be glad to do that. Come to your space and work in your space and talk about anything in particular that you may have concerns with and looking for physical impact, et cetera. We do birthdays, bar mitzvahs, birthday parties, whatever. Give us a call.
That made us fun.
Yes, so we'll have some of these.
Yeah.
At the back, I guess, and then we also have some other little emergency cards for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. So Jen Rick, our Assistant Vice President for Human Resources, asked for a few moments of our time. So Jen.
Okay, hi everyone, how are you today? Good. So I just wanted to do a quick update for you. Since I started my role in April, as you know, we had a few vacancies in the Human Resources Department, and it gave us an opportunity to look at some of the services we were offering and realign expertise and strengths of our team. So some things have changed, some titles have changed, but really some levels of responsibility have changed. And you'll notice that we have a new face in our group, which is Brandy. So we're very blessed to have her take her employer relations expertise and move it from focusing on the students to focusing on us as staff. So just so you know who to call, one thing that we have moved away from was the idea of divisional responsibilities. So if you recall in the past, there were specific people assigned to specific divisions that you would call first. You can still call that person, that's fine, but my staff is now living on what we call the 2-minute rule, meaning if we can answer your question in 2 minutes, we will. But if not, then we'll refer you to the right person. So don't feel like you have to memorize this. And again, our goal is to be of service to you. Just to speak very clearly, these came out in postings, but in our group session, I just wanted to make sure there were no questions about that. The travel procedures policy, which we had talked about at our last fall meeting, is now in effect, and it went into effect as of January 1st. So any new travel expenses incurred should follow the guidance provided. We do have an FAQ available. And then finally, our non-discrimination and non-harassment and our non-retaliation policy, those are 2 policies, have been updated to include gender identity and expression as protected classes. So again, please, if you should feel uncomfortable or feel like somebody's treating you differently because of your gender identity and expression, that would be something that we would want to address for our policy. The last thing I just want to mention is, I don't have a slide for it, but I wanted to offer congratulations to our JCU Fit committee. We were recognized as a healthy workplace by the state of Ohio, and I think that's really reflective of the excellent work and programming that they're doing. The second commercial I will give for JCU Fit is we have our Go Move Challenge coming up in the month of February. And what's new this year is they have actual regional awards. So we can't use the excuse that it's not warm enough anymore, because now we're up against people who are from the north as well. So our goal is to, meet up on all of those Jesuit schools in the north, like Detroit Mercy and Grant. So what kind of questions can I answer for you today? It doesn't have to be about this, anything on your mind? Okay, our doors are always open. Thank you.
So one of the things that John Carroll is celebrating this year is the 50th anniversary of fully going coeducational. So I've invited Chelsea Gerken, one of my colleagues in alumni relations who's working heavily with that project, to come and give an update on what's going on and how the university is celebrating this milestone.
Thanks, Eric, my colleague. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, as Eric said, actually 2018 was the 50th anniversary of John Carroll becoming fully co-educational, but like a lot of things, we're slow to get going. So we are now going to celebrate it at the beginning of 2019 to celebrate the 50-year anniversary of John Carroll being co-ed. So I will say this kind of coming to the forefront was really from the students. So Joan in the Muldoon Center and Lauren Frazier in Signature Scholarships, they had students approach them and said, hey, it's the 50-year anniversary. What is John Carroll going to do to celebrate? And so me being the Office of Alumni Relations also had our ears pinged to this as well. We kind of all joined together to form a little bit of a committee across John Carroll to collaborate with different departments and celebrate this. So that being said, I will say the most recent version of the John Carroll magazine had really awesome highlights of alums and the history of how John Carroll became co-ed in the 60s. So did everyone get one of these? I don't know, I live in a silo in alumni list. Okay, well, if you would like one, it came out in the fall, but we can get you a copy. It's really exceptional, and our team at IMC did a really great job highlighting alums and sharing their stories. So if you would like one of those, let me know or let Eric know, we can get you one. Something that you may have seen come across your Inside JCU is an initiative that Joan is spearheading, highlighting women at Carroll currently. So current faculty, staff, and students are encouraged to submit their it's a little survey about their John Carroll experience, what they love about John Carroll, and being a woman at John Carroll. So if you see one of those, I think you can search it on the Inside JCU. I'm not sure where, I think the form lives on Google somewhere. So search, I believe it's Celebrating Women at Carroll. So we encourage all women at John Carroll to submit their stories, and those are being shared every day. There's somebody new that is being highlighted, so that's really awesome. Another thing we're doing, so the main celebration really is at the end of March. So the 22nd through the 26th, we are having a variety of events through different organizations and departments on campus to highlight and celebrate 50 years of women at Carroll. I don't have a list of everything we're doing, and the schedule is still being decided upon, but I will tell you, you will see it everywhere on campus. We'll be on Inside GCU and behind all the bathroom door stalls. So you'll be sure to see that. But one of the things I'm most excited about is an event on Friday, March 22nd, which is a collaboration with CSSA and our committee. We're going to host a panel and discussion with some of our the partners that CSSA works with in the Cleveland community that empower women on as part of their mission. And so we're inviting women that work in those organizations to share how they are empowering women in the Cleveland community and how our students are having direct impact with those organizations on a really meaningful level. So we're really excited about that. And honestly, tons more things. So student organizations are participating. I know Exercise Science is planning on having an event. Let me see what else we have here. We're going to have some lunches with some faculty and staff members on our campus that have had a really long tenure here and have some really amazing stories that they're going to share with our students about their last decades here at John Carroll. There's going to be mentoring brunches for students with local female entrepreneurs and alumni who have some really amazing experiences to share with them. And something else I'm really excited about is a documentary about women in a female school in Tanzania that one of our students has a direct connection with. And so we're going to be showing that documentary on campus during that time as well. So lots of other amazing things. Lauren's probably writing things I forgot to share. So look out for those events, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't know if I'm fully equipped to answer any, but yeah, we're excited. Any questions? Okay, thank you so much.
We have one final guest speaker. Todd Bruce is here to just briefly talk about the HLC process and what to expect in the coming month or so.
Hi, everybody. The first piece of good news is that our assurance argument with the Higher Learning Commission, which is our accreditor who enables us to operate, has been submitted. We've had a little bit of, yeah, I'm excited too. We've already had some communication from the team. Next Wednesday, at our normal community meeting time at 2 o'clock, we'll be preparing the campus community for the visit that the Higher Learning Commission is going to be making. And so I wanted to encourage you all to attend and bring your colleagues with you because we want to make sure everyone on campus is ready for the visit. And so we'll talk about the process and what to expect, and where you can find more information, all those sorts of things. So we will see you next Wednesday, and then we will all reconvene to have a good turnout when the visit team is here on campus. So thanks.
Thank you, Tom. So want to kind of go through some of the recent updates and changes that have occurred within staff council. At our last staff council meeting, I guess 2 weeks ago, staff council voted on changes to our bylaws. It's been something that we've been discussing for a few months now, and they really affect 3 positions within our structure. So the first is the vice chair for communications assessment, our chair-elect, and then the creation of a vice chair for diversity, equity, and inclusion. So what was decided was to take assessment out of the vice chair for communication and assessment. There was a lot to do, and it didn't seem like just that having that one committee was able to tackle all of the things that need to get done, plus the communication that goes on top of it. So what we've done was move that over to our chair-elect, who will really get a really good insider view of what's going on within our staff community. So as that individual moves into the chair for the following year, they will have intimate knowledge of how they can best serve our staff community. What we've done is take away the ERGs from our chair-elect, and with the creation of the vice chair for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we strongly believe, and this is passed unanimously, that with Carroll's increased focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, the strategic plan for diversity, equity, and inclusion, that was time for staff council to also elevate that position. And so we were not adding a full new committee, we're not adding new members at large, but we're elevating that someone to really focus on our DEI efforts. And that person will also serve on the diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. So our vice chair will serve on the university level committee as well. So we feel like it's a really important change. We hope you all do too. They're not going into effect right now because we're so far into the process. We have elections, and Brendan's going to be speaking more about that in a few moments. They will be implemented for the next rollover. So starting June 1, we'll have this new structure in place. Any questions? We did receive one inquiry about staff feedback a few weeks ago, and it was really focusing on professional development workshops and what's open to certain members of our campus community and what's not open to other members. And I reached out to Jen Rick, and she provided a wonderful response about how, there are certain things that are really narrowly targeted at a specific job function that might not necessarily be, appropriate to go to. So using myself as an example, I really have nothing to know, no need to know about how to best teach a student. So I really don't necessarily need to go to a professional development event about that. So it doesn't necessarily need to be open to the entire community. It's also up to the person hosting those events or those staff development opportunities to figure out who best to invite to those seminars. What we would say is if there are opportunities that you are looking for or want to have other opportunities to develop your own personal development, reach out to your supervisor, talk with them about what opportunities are on campus, and work through that individual to make sure that you're receiving opportunities to better yourself and the community at large. So those are the main updates that I have. I'd like to have each of our vice chairs come and speak about what's going on within their different committees. So we will start with John Ambrose, who is currently vice chair for communication and assessment.
Hi, everyone. So as Eric said, I'm John Ambrose, Vice Chair of Communication and Assessment. I first want to thank the other members of the Communication and Assessment Committee, Brenda Bailey, Dan Fotopoulos, and Allison Goldhammer. They have been amazing, so I really appreciate all of their help. And I also a special shout out to Megan Wilson-Wrights, who is the former chair of the committee, who for always rescuing me when I have questions. First thing is that newsletters, as they've been distributed monthly via email, that will continue as we get into the spring semester. I do want to follow up with Chelsea's update that in the previous newsletter, the one that just went out this month, there is the link for the sharing if you want to share your story, the Women of Carroll link. That is there, so if you choose to do that, you can find it there. Just a reminder to use the website as a resource. All our events, the RSVP forms that Lisa Ramsey and her committee create, announcements, meeting minutes, the videos from once the live streams are over, they'll all be posted on the website. So use that as a resource. If you see anything that is a discrepancy or doesn't look right or you have a question about it, please feel free to contact me or contact staff council at jcu.edu and let us know. Again, a reminder, we want to hear from you. So if you have any updates, you have anything you want us to know about, you can email us or you can use the online feedback form, which also gives you the option to anonymously give us feedback. Our committee's focus this semester will be on assessment and going about assessing staff council and how it's accomplished its priorities this year. More details about that will be forthcoming, so keep an eye out on your email. But that's about it for me.
Next we have Lisa Ramsey, who is Vice Chair for Community Building and Networking.
Look at this. Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Ramsey, and another special thank you to my committee, James Burrows, Mike Merritt, and Logan Bess. Just a couple reminders of things coming up. First of all, yesterday we had, I know a lot of you were at our Soups and Stews competition, and some of the award-winning chefs are even in the room. So thanks again for coming out to support that event. That was really fun. So coming up, and we listed everything coming up, there's actually 2 slides. So you don't have to worry about writing this all down. We will make sure you know about this, but we wanted folks to have kind of the dates in mind in terms of save the date opportunities. This coming, the first Friday in February is our next First Friday Coffee Hour. We will be in the Student Center and the CSDI Lounge. And we will provide more information about how to find these as well if you're not familiar. Then Tuesday, February 5th, we will have our first happy hour of the semester at Scalpers Sports Bar. A new event that we are trying out this year is on, oh, that's incorrect. It is actually Valentine's Day, it's the 14th. And it's a Death by Chocolate event. So come hungry for chocolate if that is your bag. More information to come. And then you can see as we follow along here, the first Friday in March will be our coffee hour in location TBD. You'll hear more about that. But we will be featuring elections information there. So you'll hear more from Brendan today. But if you have questions about that, we'll be providing that specifically in that day. And then our Back by Popular Demand, the fish fry will be Wednesday, March 13th. So you can come enjoy that. And then next. Okay, then we have another happy hour on Tuesday, March 26th at Slyman's Tavern in Orange. The next First Friday coffee hour featuring the candidates who will be on deck for the next election. So you can come meet some folks and ask them why you should vote for them. And another Back by Popular Demand on Thursday, April 25th, it will be beautiful out. We will have a food truck, yet to be determined, but if you have suggestions, I actually don't know about any of this, but if you have suggestions of things, please reach out to me or any of our committee members and let them know what suggestions you have. We would love to respond and use those suggestions. In that vein, we did hear from folks who wanted to look at Pinecrest as an option for happy hours, so that our last happy hour will be at CityWorks in Pinecrest. And then we will finish off the year with a First Friday coffee hour in May 3rd. So again, if you have any suggestions at all, please reach out to us and please come out to the events.
There are wonderful opportunities for you all to engage with colleagues outside of the normal day-to-day business of the university. So I hope you can all join us for one or many of these opportunities. Next, Brendan Dolan, who is the Vice Chair for Membership, Governance, and Finance.
Hello, everyone. I'm loud, sorry. I'll also have to look at the screen, so I'm not ignoring you, I promise. You all look wonderful. So Membership, Governance, and Finance has been tasked with a couple of things this semester that take up a little more of our energy. The second thing we'll talk about is elections, but we completed in the first semester leading into the semester all the budget review information and allocations, and we did a review of our bylaws and constitutional, a light review this year compared to the past. But then, of course, Eric went ahead and the council changed everything again. So we'll be spending some time on that, updating those bylaws. But actually, they're already up to date and will be on the website shortly, including the new vice chair positions. So, and then we've been focused on elections. So we've made some changes. You can jump to the next slide, Brian. But some of the feedback from our committee and some of the folks that went through the elections last semester was that some of the information was a little daunting or didn't have a lot of explanation around responsibilities. So the idea of self-nomination also might be a little intimidating. So we're changing some of the language to let people know and be transparent that really you can volunteer to run because these positions are volunteer positions. So being transparent about that. So a lot of our language will now include volunteer because you can self-nominate or volunteer through our elections process, or you can be nominated by another staff person. So I raise that because not only is it awesome to empower yourself, but if you know people who would be excellent working with the council or who have the time and energy to work for their colleagues in this kind of representation, I would encourage you to nominate those other people. Especially if maybe your area of the university isn't as well represented on the council. We'd love to increase how spread out we are across all staff. So it's just something to think about. Our timeline, as you've heard people allude to, we start with an information session. This is new, doing actual information around all of the positions that we'll have open. And right now it looks like we'll have 7 at-large positions, 6 or 7, and then we'll now have several of the vice chair positions open, including this one. So if you'd like to take over elections, come on down and learn from me. But we'll also have that new DEI vice chair position. We will have information this session. We'll also time it with our friends on the Communications and Assessment Committee to have it on the website so you can learn about all the positions that will be available. March 1st, we're actually going to open up the online voting form. It's all electronic. It's an anonymous link, so we can't do too much as far as ballot stuffing. We'll talk more about that, but you can nominate as many people as you would like through that form, including yourself. So we encourage you to do that. We're going to keep it open through the 20th, so there's quite a bit of time because we want people to be able to talk to people who are currently in positions and try to understand what their responsibilities might be, as well as, you know, maybe speaking with like colleagues or a supervisor about, hey, can you give me all the support I need to be a vice chair, something like that. So encouraging people to push for that. And then after the 20th, we will have all the candidates go through an acceptance process where they'll accept their nomination and or volunteer. And we collect information through bios, and we also receive the feedback that people would like to self-select the photo used. And not necessarily their directory pictures. So feel free to start going through your Facebook albums and find something you really would like out there. So, and then we will have everybody meet the candidates at that next First Friday coffee hour. And then we'll vote starting April 8th. And it's really just a few, I think it's a week period kind of thing. But it's a pretty quick turnaround. But we have all the information on there, and that's where we have the ballot box stuffing, so no one can vote more than once electronically. And then because of Easter and the way it falls, we're going to wait till after Easter then to release information, and we contact candidates and then staff council and the greater staff community. So, and our transition happens over the summer into the new positions. So just, I know it's a lot, but that kind of lays out the full timeline. I hope you consider taking on volunteering for something, especially if you've looking for other ways to meet and network people across campus. If you're looking for that opportunity, it's great. And those of you who have a lot of skills that are transferable, we love having vice chairs that do good work. So the rest of them, besides myself, have been excellent this past year. So I look forward to being replaced with an improvement. So let me know when you're ready to do that.
Do you have any questions about the process?
Oh, yes, sir.
If you do, please let us
I have
know.
a question.
Yeah.
If I'm nominated for a role I don't want, but I'd rather do something else, can I switch?
Yes. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. And then Brandy Manzak, our outgoing vice chair for mission and advocacy.
To follow up. And I'm outgoing as well. So just a huge thank you to my committee, especially to April Skirka, who will be taking over as the new vice chair of the Mission and Advocacy Committee. Hopefully all of you have seen that we have the scavenger hunt going on. It officially opened yesterday. I've heard some feedback, some great, some things we're fixing, but hopefully all of you that are engaging with it are enjoying yourselves. And I also invite those of you who are not engaging with it to please consider registering when you have a team of colleagues, so you can get some of the faculty involved as well as the students. We really want this to be a collaborative effort, and we have extended the deadline until tomorrow at noon. So there's still time. So please consider joining us. It is a part of the Ignatian Heritage Week next week. Megan has some information that she'll place up at the door for you to grab on your way out, some schedules from Ed and his team. We also, just for participating, you have like a little participation, not a medal or trophy, but a band. I'm wearing one right now. So just for participating in the scavenger hunt, you'll get one of these amazing bands, so don't miss the opportunity for that. It says Walk the Talk IHJM at JCU. So we would love to give you one of those. And since we know where you're all going to be Wednesday at 2 p.m., you can follow that up at 3:30 in the Murphy Room when we have our celebration and we have our winners. We'll announce our winners. We have some great prizes to give out. And then we'll also, for those of you who are not able to participate, you'll really have a time to intentionally engage with the display. So there's some really amazing pieces. We featured 10. Certainly there are many more, so hopefully you'll take some time to engage with the display and join us for the celebration. Just in terms of the Campus Colleague Program, thank you for those of you who have joined us. We still need more campus colleagues. So if you've not signed up to be a campus colleague and you have interest in doing so, there is a form that you can complete on the Staff Council website, but you can email me directly, that would be fine. It is really a minimal time commitment. You get to have a free lunch at the first Fridays, which is exciting. And really just make a new friend on campus, somebody who's not in your division, someone whom you can hopefully form a bond with and just help them to onboard a little more smoothly here to the university. So we held our first listening session of the year. We'll be having 2 this year. We had a non-supervisory listening session. It was very well attended. We had a lunch that went along with that. A huge thank you to April, who really took the lead on that and put together a great program for us, and John Bradigan, who was a huge help with that as well. So thank you both. It went very well. We're compiling the data, and we'll be sharing that, with Staff Council, eventually HR, some other folks on campus. We will also be having a supervisory listening session later this spring. So the date is TBD. We'll get that out to you as soon as, or April will get that out to you as soon as we have that. But otherwise, does anyone have any questions? I can't give hints about the scavenger hunt, it wouldn't be fair. So don't ask me those now. But anything else? Okay. Thank you so much.
And Salvador Vesno, who is our vice chair for recognition.
I'm also outgoing, so if you're interested in doing any of the recognition, let me know, and we'll touch base. But thank you to my committee and also all the volunteers who are not listed here who have helped with the development of staff notes, and more information on that will be shared via Inside JCU. But I first want to start off with an apology. We had a holiday message that was supposed to be sent to you all, and it came late. You probably all received it the week we all started school or started back at work at 7. So sorry, we'll do better next time. But we were thinking about you all, and so those notes will come out every semester based on a holiday. So all I have today for you all is a save the date. The 4th annual Staff Council Recognition and Excellence Awards are going to be on May 23rd from 2 to 3:30. They coincide with our all staff meeting before the summer break for most of us. There are 4 awards that you all could nominate yourselves or others. The Staff Member of the Year, the Staff Member of the Year, the St. Ignatius of Loyola Leadership Award, and the Archbishop John Carroll Award for Learning. All of these have a larger description, and you could explore that on our website. I'll be describing with my committee what those nomination processes will look like in March via Inside JCU. But those pictures, I want to put them because that could be you. And so see yourself there. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thanks, Alex. And last, but certainly not least, we carry our Charlie.
Hi. Good afternoon, everybody, and to those who are new to the institution since the last full staff meeting, welcome and Happy New Year to everyone. Well, we're closer to Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day. The employee resource groups that we began last year are going strong. They continue to be a wonderful space for colleagues who hold certain identities, to gather, to find community, to share experiences, to feel affirmed, and to feel validated in the experiences that they do have. You mind advancing? Okay. Just a couple of updates coming in from the ERGs. Brendan Dolan has willingly accepted a leadership role in our new Working Parents and Guardians ERG. We've received feedback over the course of the last year from colleagues who say, I wish we had a group to talk about this because it is a very special identity, having particularly young children working full-time or part-time, and finding that community, sharing resources to use for childcare. People want to get rid of clothes that no longer fit their toddlers, so wanting to provide a space for them. So thank you to Brendan. Connie Brooks from the Griselli Library and Patty Taylor from JCU PD have also volunteered to co-lead our baby boomer ERG, so my gratitude goes to them as well. The ERG co-leaders, these are all volunteers, and they share the identity of the groups that they lead, and I thank them for the spaces that they create and will continue to create on campus for folks to gather to share these experiences. I know all the co-leaders are meeting in a few weeks to kind of talk about their programming for this upcoming semester. So as always, you can anticipate announcements coming out from the various ERGs about the activities that they have planned this semester, what they'll be doing. But also know that the information is also, contact information is also on the Staff Council website. So if you have ideas or if you need some support in a certain way or need direction, you can also reach out to any of the co-leaders, and I know they'd be happy to support you as well. The last thing is that because these are new, and because we want to make sure that we're supporting our staff members as best as we can, if, for example, the Working Parents and Guardians ERG was really born organically from folks who we were really surfacing a need. So if you feel like there's an identity that you would like to see represented, or if you yourself are willing to talk about your own experiences, you can certainly please reach out to me. I'm very happy to speak with you and perhaps explore coordinating a group of folks to gather. Again, community is really important in the work that we do, and recognizing that we bring ourselves and our identities to work is incredibly important. And as a staff council, we want to make sure that we recognize that. Thank you very much.
So many of the executive board members serve on our campus-wide committee. So if you remember a couple of years ago, the university went through its committee structure and started breaking them down and trying to get rid of redundant ones or ones that weren't as crucial. At that point, staff council had the ability to add membership to these committees. So as you can see, we have our exec board members on these committees. I want to at least give them the opportunity if they wanted to share what's going on with those committees, because it's kind of important that our community knows what's going in these 4 or 5 larger university committees. So I have the privilege of serving on the University Strategic Planning Group. Over the course of the last, I guess, 8 months since I've been on there, it really started in the fall, so it's been maybe about 6 months. We really focused on 3 different things. One, the tactics that we created for fiscal year 19, so the ones that would end in May. Figure out how we're doing on those, what areas we have met success, what areas do we still need to work on, and then are there tactics that, frankly, they were there, but they really didn't materialize, and maybe just kind of need to jettison them off. So that was the first process that took the first couple months. The next one we did was really looking at the future. So what will John Carroll be prioritizing for the next year? So ending in fiscal year 20. And one of the areas I'm really pleased to announce that they prioritized was supporting our ERGs. So the University Strategic Planning Group felt that the ERGs are important enough to our community that they want to make sure that they're well supported, even outside of the support that staff council provides. I don't quite know what that's going to look like. That's still to be determined, but at least it's there, and I'm very happy that that was included. And then at the last meeting in December, Dr. Johnson came and talked really about the next strategic plan. So obviously it's amazing enough, we're kind of coming up to the end of Promise and Prominence. Felt like that just got launched maybe last week, but it didn't. So we're really looking at what the strategic plan will be from 2020 through 2025. It will likely look a little bit different than the last time. We're still trying to figure out what USPG will look like. Will it be a smaller group? Will it be a larger group? Probably not. But we'll know that staff will have an impact on whatever that new strategic plan will be. It will likely launch, the true process will launch this summer. And we'll hear more about it as it rolls on, but we really did a deep dive into some of the statistics that relate to Carroll as well as higher education in general. And we're looking at those metrics to kind of figure out where does Carroll need to go in the next 5 years. So that's really the main 3 things that USPG has been working on. But I want to give our other executive board members an opportunity to update our community if you feel like there's anything pressing. So I'll let you raise your hand if you want to speak. If not, that's quite okay. Go.
Just really quickly for the University Committee on Educational Policies, if you are so inclined and so interested, there are 2 policies open for review for comment through February 18th. One is a policy on incomplete grades and one is a policy on midterm grades. So I know that doesn't really apply to a lot of people in the room, but if you're interested, they are online.
The University Committee on Administrative Policies meets pretty regularly. Lisa Ramsey and I are privileged to serve as your representatives. A bulk of last semester was the committee reviewing several policies originating in sponsored research, particularly around federal funding for grants. So thank you, Erica Kennedy, for keeping us busy. This semester, in addition to some real good preparation for the HLC visit, the committee will be taking a look at a few policies that may certainly impact obviously our day-to-day work. 2 things wanting to highlight: pets and animals on campus, as well as a university policy governing alcohol consumption, usage, presence, and so forth. So like any of the policies at the institution, your engagement, particularly in the comment period, is critical, so please do keep an eye out for those. Thank you.
Ready? Anyone else? Okay. I was asked to remind you all about the upcoming Staff Service Award celebration. Congratulations to Dr. Kyle Odell, who is a recipient of this year's Staff Community Service Award. Next week, on the 29th, there'll be a celebration in his honor at 4 p.m. So please consider joining us there. Also, as part of the Ignatian Heritage Week celebration, so there's a link as well. Our next are just upcoming meetings for Staff Council. All are welcome to our Staff Council meetings. They take place in the Murphy Room. Our next one's March 14th. Our last one of the year is May 9th. And then, as Salo had mentioned earlier, as part of the recognition celebration, our final staff meeting for the year is on May 23rd back here in Donahue Auditorium. Beyond that, that is the agenda, but I want to make sure that you had an opportunity to ask any questions or provide any feedback before we close. Great.
I just had one more point that I wanted to make. Thank you to all of you who have been attending the open sessions with the provost candidates. The search is still, or we have a few more candidates coming onto campus, and we will have one tomorrow. I believe the time of the open session for that is at 1:30, so hopefully you can join us again, for the last two candidates. And also, it is critical that you provide your feedback, so please do so. And then we have our final candidate who will be on campus next week, Tuesday. There will be another open forum, so please join us for those.
Thanks, Brandy. Any other questions or comments? All right, well, thank you all so much for being here. I hope you have a good rest of the week. And if there's anything Staff Council can ever do for you, please do reach out. We will be sending out the slide deck because there are links to all the websites and things that we've referenced. So thanks again for being here.
I just want to make sure I ended it. I don't know how to end it. Okay. I appreciate that. Just because my head.
I know. Yeah. I don't feel like I know it all yet,
Yeah. Thank you. How do I end it?
Oh, is this, do I have to, since live now? If I hit edit, maybe I can edit.
Yes.
All very practical. Okay.
Just like our high school teachers. Stop broadcast.